Welcome to the BNI Knox podcast, helping members in the Knoxville, Tennessee region grow their business and make more money through the power of referrals. Now, here's your host, Andy Brassfield and Curtis Johnston.
Hello again, this is Curtis Johnston along with Andy Brassfield at the BNI Knox podcast.
You said it right.
Thank you, my friend. We're coming at you from the Mike Fuller Realty and Company studios. Thank you, Robert Smith, for setting this up for us. We're produced by Front Porch Media. Darren's doing a wonderful job. And we're sponsored this week by Her Legacy Designs.
Her Legacy Designs.
Megan
Murphy Boutwell.
I always need help with that. Wonderful woman. I just can't get her name right. And she's a friend of yours.
Yeah. And, she's on our training team.
Oh,
so
yeah.
at Member Success Program, she usually delivers the referral confidence curve and a couple of other segments.
She's very powerful in front of the room. I like her trainings.
Yeah.
More about her later. This week, we're talking about visitor orientation, what Andy calls the 1-2-3 method. And it's what we do with visitors after the weekly presentation, because the weekly meetings are really weekly presentations for visitors, correct?
In part, yes.
Okay.
And we could dive into that for just a minute.
Please.
Sometimes you'll hear, in BNI, you'll hear people say, well, the weekly meeting is for the visitors. And while that's true, I might take issue with that if we take it as a holistic statement.
Okay.
Because truly, in our weekly meeting, although we are celebrating and making presentation to our visitors, we're actually getting business done too.
Oh, yes.
We're educating each other.
Correct.
And so there's more than just serving the visitors. It's a huge part of what we do, though.
Right.
It's a big piece of the weekly meeting is that it is a sales presentation for the visitors to give them the opportunity to come on board and be one of our business partners.
Along with training our business partners, training our sales force.
That's
This is
right.
what I'm looking for. Here's some examples of what I've done. I need some more of this business.
Yeah, take networking education, for example. That portion of our meeting is truly educational for our members.
Correct. Very, very true. Well, let's talk about visitor orientation, the 1-2-3 method, which you and I have touched on before. But let's talk a little bit more about it for the benefit of our listeners. So tell me about it.
Well, for years I served as visitor host.
Okay.
At my chapter, the NRG chapter.
Yay.
Yeah, we refer to that energy. And as visitor host, I realize, looking back, that I probably chased off as many members as I helped to sign up. Yeah. Okay. And the reason for that is because I was compelled, I felt that it was my duty to explain to our visitors what BNI was all about.
Okay.
We're talking about attendance policy, substitutes, the costs.
And you were having that conversation in the hallway right after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would bring them all out, hand out the applications. We would kind of go over the application piece by piece.
Very familiar, yes.
And then we would make sure that they understood the cost, and then the commitment for attendance. So we talked about the attendance policy, the substitute policy.
Okay.
So at the end, some people would still apply, and other people weren't.
Were not applying.
But listen, as part of my continuing self-education, I listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to a lot of books, and looking back, I see now that there was a definite flaw in that approach.
All right, you identified that in yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in me, and then I began to see how we were training visitor orientation to the visitor host teams.
All right,
and the whole training started with, hand out the application.
Yeah.
Let's go over the application.
Okay, so
flip it over and let's look at that, and then let's answer questions.
Right. Which
but
is what you were doing.
The problem that I have with that is this: what if the visitor already decided they wanted to apply for membership before we invited them out into the hall?
All right, so stop right there. So they enjoyed the meeting. They saw where they could do some business within that meeting. They're ready to go. They're like, where do I sign? Let's do this.
Listen, I was at a BNI chapter meeting a few weeks ago, and during the meeting, a visiting lady said, "How do I join this?" She was
That's
so
great.
yeah, she was so excited. She said out loud, "How do I join?" And so we're like, "Somebody get that lady an application."
Yes,
We were
exactly.
just like, it was so much. She did apply for membership and she was accepted.
Wonderful.
Yes. So she already had her mind made up. So why would I take her out into the hall and
then-
explain everything to her?
So if you're looking at like Sales 101, there's a time for people who present opportunity, but then they keep presenting and they keep talking and they end up talking the prospect right out of it.
Yeah, they talk themselves out of
They
a
talk
sale.
themselves out of a sale. That's right.
Yeah. And
All
so
right.
that's the concept where we want to go here. And so the solution to that is the 1-2-3 method. And you may have heard of the 1-2-3 method, and I'm going to take it and put my swing on it. So no disrespect to any original authors of a 1-2-3 method. Everybody has their own way of doing things.
Yes. No squirrels were harmed in the filming of this podcast.
Number one, are you ready? So here we go.
That's the question.
The 1-2-3 method.
I'm
the
ready.
first
Taking
question
notes.
is,
Here we go.
are you ready? Or you might say, who's ready? Let me tell you what I experienced over at Rainmakers chapter when Julie Thacker was visitor host.
Yes.
It was so incredible. They take the visitors out into the hall. Actually, they have another room over there to the side. They take them into another room. And I was standing in the room with the visitors when Julie walks in. It was almost like she flung the door
Explodes
open.
into the room.
And she literally shouted, "Who wants to be a rainmaker?"
That's fantastic.
It is.
What was the reaction?
Oh, some people were like, "I'm ready."
Oh, wow.
And okay, get that man an application. So in that scenario, you have a visitor host team. You've taken the visitors out for orientation.
Correct.
You've said, who's ready to be a member? Who's ready to apply? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready?
Right.
And they say, I'm ready. Here's what you need to do is you need to be ready to take their application. So how do you be ready is number one, you need to have a team.
Correct.
So if you have one person taking the visitors out into the hall, that's not going to work. You need to have multiple people.
Agreed.
Preferably a balance of males and females. So when one person says, I'm ready, or if two people say, I'm ready, then you have team members who pair off with them.
Nice.
And now you're quietly, okay, here's the application.
Fill this out.
If you're ready,
There we go.
sign down here.
Right.
Okay, and then let's make sure that everything was filled out properly.
Correct.
We're going to look over the application. We're going to say,
There you go.
who's your sponsor?
Yes.
Make sure you fill that in.
Very important.
Very important. And all of those other questions that are on there, if they didn't by themselves answer any of those questions, then the visitor host who's teamed up with them or paired off with them is going to make sure that that application is completed and payment is collected.
Yes.
So most of us don't carry checkbooks around, but we do carry our check card and our business account check card.
Right.
So you can collect payment right on the spot by saying to an applicant, okay, it's not an application without payment.
Tell me about the check card payment. Do we have time to go into that?
You send them to, tell them, take out your phone. Now go to BNIKnox.com
Okay.
and pull down the menu and choose Pay Online.
Okay.
So when you get to BNIKnox.com, whether you're on a phone or on a computer, then up in the top right corner is what we call the hamburger symbol. Those three lines.
Nobody calls it the hamburger symbol.
I
hate to break it to you.
It's called the hamburger.
Anyway.
The hamburger.
Okay.
Have them click on it. That brings down the menu, Pay Online. It takes them to a page where you'll scroll down about halfway down to the new member portion.
Okay.
They choose 1 year or 2 years.
Okay.
And then they can click Buy Now, and it takes them out to the payment portal where they'll complete their payment, and they can do it with the credit card right then, right there. You're watching them.
Sure.
And you see that it goes through, and then, of course, they're going to receive an email confirmation they'll receive that right away unless their email has some sort of filters or
fine.
blockers on it.
Right.
And you can say to them, great, forward that confirmation to me. Here's my email address.
Because that was the payment. That wasn't the application.
Correct.
Okay.
We're talking about the payment makes the application complete.
And when we get the confirmation email that says they've paid, now we can begin
Now
the
we can
application
begin
process.
to process that application.
Perfect.
But as long as they have filled out the paper and
Right.
signed it, but no payment is made, it's not a completed application. This is the job of the visitor host team.
Mm-hmm.
So the primary leader of the visitor host team says, who's ready?
Right.
Hands off those who are ready to a teammate.
Yep.
Teammate is working with them.
Fill it out. Here we go.
Now what's the rest of the group doing? Let's assume you had 5, 6, 10 visitors.
Okay.
Maybe you had 2 or 3. Okay. But the rest, now you have 1 or 2 people that are completing an application.
Right.
Now what do you do with the rest of them?
Well, that was step 1, right? That was the step 1 method, and now they're doing that. So step 2 or question 2 would be what?
You must have some questions. Okay, so those people were ready.
Right.
You didn't indicate that you were ready, so you must have some questions.
So let's field some questions.
So what questions do you have? Now be ready for one of 2 things to happen here. 1, somebody has questions.
Okay.
2, nobody has any questions, and you hear crickets.
Oh, yes.
So with people, if they have questions, that's natural. You answer their questions, whatever they may be. Satisfy their questions.
Right, right.
If nobody speaks up, if nobody says, "Well, I have a question," then you must say, "Well, then, okay. Here's the most common questions that we get:
Ooh.
time and participation."
Phrase that in a question.
How often,
I'm sorry, Alec. All answers must be a phrase of a question.
How often do we meet?
Okay, so then you would say, kind of opening it up, because some people
Right.
don't want to just speak out all of a
That's
sudden.
right. You're
So
gonna
prime the pump a little
you
bit.
have
Say, well,
you
here's
have a
some questions
group.
we get.
You have 1 or more people who are not asking questions. and
Right.
you say that here's some of the most common questions we get. There's time and participation. People like to know how often we meet.
Right.
Is there attendance required?
Mm-hmm.
What if they can't be here on a given week?
And then we would go ahead and just rhetorically answer these questions.
And then rhetorically answer.
And then
them.
they may think of more questions as we're talking.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Also, participation might include what about bringing referrals? One of our favorite questions is, what if I can't bring referrals? What if I don't know how?
Yeah, or it's not even a question. It's more like a statement. It's like, I can't bring any referrals.
Yeah.
I don't think this is for me.
Yeah.
What do you say?
So with those people, first of all, I say we love people like you. And the reason why is because that question was not a question about, I don't think I can get enough out of BNI for it to be worth my time and money. What they're saying is I'm afraid I can't give enough.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
you're a giver, not a taker. We love people like you.
Oh, brilliant. Because they're saying, I'm afraid I can't give enough.
Yeah.
So that's an indication that these people are givers.
Yes.
And they don't feel like they can give enough.
And it's giver's gain. Well, guess what? We love people like you. We have training. We have the mentor program, which is called Passport to Success. We're going to teach you how to do this thing.
Yes.
You're going to be wonderful at it.
I can already tell. Your mindset, your giver's mentality,
Yeah.
you're going to fit right in.
So other questions are, how much does it cost?
Right?
Okay, be prepared to answer that.
Right.
My preference is that we answer that succinctly. In our region, 1 year is $798 for a new member. 2
Right.
years is $1198.
Okay. Right. Right.
Be prepared to answer that question. Answer it quickly.
Yeah.
Get
Stand
off
behind
of
it. Be done with it.
and be done with it. Yeah, because and then sometimes people can't afford it.
True.
I don't know if I can afford
True.
to take that. I wasn't prepared. It's not in my budget. Here's a question that I would ask somebody who's on that. So you're telling me that if you could afford it, you would apply for membership. Is that right?
And I say yes. Yes.
There you go.
If I can
This
afford
is
it, I would
not.
do it.
We're not trying to trick somebody. We're trying to get an understanding of what they're saying.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying is I'm saying this thing from Her Legacy Design
Yes.
is one of the coolest things that I've seen. Now, what I'm holding here is a piece of wood. It's a cross cut. Wouldn't you call that a cross cut?
Yes, I think so.
Of like a log.
Yes.
And they have put on here through a really cool technique. You talk about the technique. And they put on their family name.
Right.
And then there's a place on the back of it where you can hang it up on a wall or whatever. But tell us a little bit more about this piece from Her Legacy Designs.
Megan came by and dropped this off. She's sponsoring this podcast, Her Legacy Designs. And Megan came by and dropped this off, and she has the ability to put any label on any material item. I think you said if you can hold it down, she can put a label on it.
Yeah.
But this is neat because it's a piece of wood where she's burned, essentially, had a label and burned the bout wells on this piece of wood as a gift for perhaps a real estate agent or just served a client, they bought a house, and this would make an excellent gift. Corporate gifts, congratulations on your promotion. So it's a unique item that you can display, and this is the tip of the iceberg of what Megan can create.
Yeah. I mean, so this is a highly customizable piece, and she did tell us a story about how one of her real estate clients gets one of these made for a family with every house they sell.
It's a fantastic personal touch.
It's a wonderful personal touch. It's customized to the individual client. And if it was me and I was the realtor, I would want to have my business card taped onto the back of it.
Yeah.
And that won't be seen because
it's part of it, though.
It'll be hanging on the wall.
Right.
Or you could even buy a little stand and have it on
I like
the
the
desk.
picture frame idea. Kind of stick it up on a little picture frame.
Yeah, stick it up on a little picture frame stand thing.
That's right.
And have it on there, and then have your business name like maybe on the back of it.
There you go.
But the gift part of it is customized.
Correct.
Really wonderful piece. I know that Megan is so excited about the technology involved in applying this through a chemical burn process.
Correct. And that's just one of the processes she has. As she's talked to us, she does coffee mugs, T-shirts, tote bags, specializes in small runs.
If you go to her Instagram page.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Her Legacy Designs on Instagram.
Yep.
And remember, we'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Well, we won't. Darren at Front Porch Media will put it in there.
Yes,
hey, we get to say whatever
absolutely.
we want what Darren will do. And then
So one is who's ready.
Oh, yes, back to business. I'm sorry.
Two,
so one is who's ready. Two is what questions do you have? And then prime the pump with these are some questions that we get. So now finally, number three.
Number three, well, if they didn't say yes and that we didn't get them after we answered their questions, well, then it must be a no. So for those people who say no,
yes,
totally respect that.
Sure.
So first of all, affirm a no. Affirm it by saying, I totally get it. BNI is not right for everybody.
Right, fine.
But would you do me a favor? So this is the critical piece to the no. Do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you use those words.
Do me a favor.
Would you do me a favor and just tell me why you don't think this is a good fit, or maybe even let's take out you don't think. Let's take that word out and say, would you do me a favor and tell me why this is not a good fit? I'm just curious.
Yes.
It would help us as we're talking with other people.
Yes. Can you just share with me why this is not a good fit,
Why it's not a good fit
for someone in your business?
Yeah, well, I can't do Friday mornings. So if it was another day of the week, you think it might be a good fit?
Mm-hmm.
Now what are we doing? We're priming them for a different chapter that meets on a different day.
Right.
You now are practicing giver's gain and partnering with other chapters. When you take a prospect who's at your chapter is not a good fit for the day, time, or location, and you help them plug into a chapter where it is a good fit for them.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. So the answer is no. Hey, can you do me a favor and just tell me why this wouldn't be a good fit for you in your industry, and just see what the answer is?
I know what the answer is. Oh, y'all already have a realtor.
Could be. Time is not good because they could say no. So you're like, well, it's no. Okay, well, here's the application. Let us know, if you can always come back and visit. But the answer is no because they're about to get married and they just don't have the time for it right now.
Yeah.
The spring would be a much better opportunity, but you don't know, is it?
If we don't ask them why,
Right.
it doesn't give us the opportunity to help them. Remember, when it comes to a visitor and applying for membership, this is an opportunity for them.
Correct.
We want to help them seize this opportunity.
Correct, yeah.
So if we ask them why, and if we can work with that why, then let's work with it. It could be cost. It could be time or day scheduling, if you will.
Right.
Could be that there's not an opening in the chapter. So these will get us from no to maybe helping meet their needs. And then, of course, there are people who will have a solid, it's not for me.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Whatever. And we always want to affirm and to be respectful of those who say no. We don't ever want anybody to feel that we're pressuring them.
Correct. This is an opportunity. It's an offering. This isn't a hard close.
Right.
It's simply a, hey, here's an opportunity for you to have another avenue to get some referrals and get some business. A lot of people do business by word of mouth. Here's a room full of mouths.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. Let me add one thing before we close out. I feel like a pastor. Let me add one thing before we pass the plate. Can we pass the plate? We can't, can we? Anyway, something that I've learned in my business as I'm prospecting for Gallagher and Associates is when people tell me no at the door, at the desk, or during the meeting, I always ask, is that a no forever or is that a no for right now?
Oh,
So
that's a good one.
You phrase it to be like, well, it's not no forever. It's simply right now is not the time, but maybe in the fall. Okay, well, can I contact you in the fall? Oh, please.
Yeah.
It'll be much better to contact me in the fall. So when you get to that no, is it a no forever or is it just a no for right now?
That's real similar to let me sleep on it. And some people literally will not make a decision without sleeping on it.
I will not. I'm one of those people.
And we respect that. So my question is, when do you think you'll have your decision made?
Yes.
If you're sleeping on it one night or 2 nights, then when can I follow up with you on your decision?
Correct.
So perhaps I'll call you Monday or I'll call you Thursday.
Right.
And I'll get your decision then because we respect that you want to take a chance to sleep on it.
Absolutely.
That's just one more swing there on
Way to
those who
phrase
are a no or a maybe.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I want to remind you that watching these episodes count towards CEUs.
And listening.
And listening to these episodes. I always look at the camera. Listening to these episodes gives you CEU credit. 1 hour worth of listening gives you 1 credit. So group a few of these together, turn it into an hour, and watch it. You get some CEUs for your chapter.
And you need to submit those on the app.
Yes, we always use the app. It's very user-friendly. Thank you, Mike Fuller Realty, for allowing us to use the studio here. Thank you, Front Porch Media and Darren. And thank you, Megan, for dropping off some fun stuff for us to look at. Her Legacy Designs.
Her Legacy Designs.
And there's
on
a link,
Instagram.
And there's a link for that in the show notes.
Absolutely. Thanks.